Today on In the Legal Know, Vincent J. Russo is here, and he's got a focus on how to select a nursing home for a loved one. And so joining us now, here's Vincent Russo. Thanks, Vincent, so much for being with us today. And we were just chatting a little bit before. This is one of the hardest decisions for people to make, right, about nursing homes?
Oh, it's a real challenge and a struggle for families and for the individual who needs the care. So the starting point for me would be to think about what level of care does that person need before rushing to a decision one way or another whether someone should go into a nursing home or not. So there are a lot of options today. There's, care at home that can be provided, or supportive living with family members and friends that can be helpful, assisted living facilities, and then there's nursing homes. And nursing homes are a medical facility. Right. And they provide skilled care services for residents under the with registered nurses under the supervision of physicians.
So how do you approach that? What's the process? First of all, on deciding where a loved one or where oneself belongs, and then if it is skilled nursing care, how do you start to look at nursing homes then?
Yes, and so here's where you want to gather as much information as you can. Information that's available on the internet, information that's available from family members and friends, and then we get to the professionals. So it's typical that if someone's in a hospital, for example, they had an injury, now they need rehabilitation, the hospital will have a discharge unit. You're going to speak to the discharge planner or the physician. You could reach out to a geriatric care manager, for example, to help with that decision-making process, or a senior consultant, or an elder law attorney. So there are a good number of professionals, and the key is to reach out and get that information and really pull it together before you make a decision.
Well, what are some of the key considerations, would you say, that when you're trying to make all these decisions? What are some of the key things you want to focus on?
Sure. Let's talk about a checklist of options here. So the first is assessing your needs, and we just mentioned that one. The second is location. For me personally, think this is huge. You want to pick a nursing home where people are going to be able to visit. And so location is key. Quality of care. There are rating services you can check in terms of making sure they're above board in the quality of care. Staffing, asking about staffing ratios and make sure that there's proper staff available in the facility. How they handle the philosophy of care. Really important, like a faith-based nursing home, like a Catholic nursing home, would be very helpful to many Catholics who want to feel comfortable in practicing their faith. Activities and amenities. Maybe there's a special interest that that particular resident has, and does that facility match up and align with them? And then lastly, family visits. So for me, location, I'm sorry, family visits, facility visits. Location and then visiting the nursing home are, I think, two key components.
I mean, I guess that part of it for both the person who might be entering and the family member, it's the fear and the unknown, right? And so if someone is going to go make a visit to a nursing home, what are some of the things that they should be just looking at in that first experience of when they first arrive and look around the place?
Really good question, and visiting is so key. So you want to contact the facility and make an appointment. Or you may just go to the facility. They don't necessarily like that, but you can get a whole nother view of what's going on in that facility. So here's another kind of checklist when visiting the facility. First, physical appearance. Does it feel comfortable to you? Is it a place that is inviting for the resident? Safety, making sure the hallways are clear and the handrails are there. These are requirements under state and federal law that should be met, but you should be looking for that. Cleanliness. I'll say it in the nicest way, the unpleasant odor. My wife, when we had to look at nursing homes for my mother-in-law, This was key for my wife, Susan. If there's an unpleasant smell, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
And either it should be taken care of, or maybe that's not the right facility to you. Going back to the checklist, daily living, socialization, and recreation. You know, we want the resident to have a life there and to be engaged. So when you're visiting, what activities are going on? Are the residents smiling? Are they talking with each other? Are they engaging? Room assignments can be very important. Is it a shared room? That's typical. What happens if you don't get along with the other individual? What's the policy in the nursing home for changing a room or getting a private room? And then lastly, food. I know Monsignor Vaughn would feel this was probably on the top of his list. All right, food and dining. You know, what's your ethnic background? Do they have the kinds of foods that you would like? Is there an alternative menu? All really important questions. This person's going to be there. It's going to be their home 24/7. So you want to make sure it's the right place.
Now, I'm guessing too, you know, I think I know the answer to this, that there are objective rating kinds of things that people can look at as they're trying to assess the choices. There's some way for people to look and really see objectively how a nursing home is looked at?
Yes, there is. And here's another way of checking out that nursing home. So Medicare.gov has a rating service. And the key words you would put in would be nursing home compare. And it'll actually allow you to pick a location, get a listing of the nursing homes, and then you can compare them in terms of all the ratings. Also, states also have their own rating services. For example, New York State Department of Health has a rating service. And so I would say that's another really important element of information gathering, understanding how to make a decision that's so important for your loved one.
Last thing I want to ask you, and it's kind of an emotional, pastoral response. You know, so many times people say, "I'd never put my mother in a nursing home," or saying to your children, "Don't you dare ever put me in a nursing home."
Right.
I guess so. There's a lot of unknown there. But how would you respond to that when someone just has this fear and it's maybe a sense of giving up when somebody has to live in a residential facility like that?
That is such a challenging situation. And so first, have we investigated all the options that are available before we go to the nursing home choice? Sometimes families haven't really thought it through or aren't aware of some of the ways that they can provide care outside of a nursing home. Then there's the reality of if someone needs the care, that level of care, by keeping them out of the nursing home, you're actually not doing the best for them, because now they're not getting the level of care they need. Maybe they're not getting social activities that would be available. So someone, you could say, well, I want to be home, but they're home and they're isolated. That's not good for them. So you walk through these kind of scenarios, but the guilt factor, we just have to go to our Christian faith and say, we're here to take care of each other in the best way possible.
And that point that you make about, just realizing that this may be the better care, for someone and for the caregiver, that they need, the break and the mental and physical rest as well too, so they can really be present, to someone. So thank you so much for sharing this vital information as to how someone should choose a nursing home. And thanks for doing that. And thanks for being with us today, because it's really, really important, and so many people are facing that.
My pleasure.